What's up guys, MaskedNintendoBandit here. So the Age of Calamity trailer dropped out of nowhere last week, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, first off, stop living under a rock and come out into the light, because this is all anyone in the Zelda community is talking about these days. The prequel to Breath of the Wild that nobody even knew was coming in the first place. Now, something to note is that this isn't a Legend of Zelda title. It's actually a Hyrule Warriors title, which for those of you in the know means that it will play kind of differently than the original Breath of the Wild. Actually, very differently. You see, Warriors games are much more hack and slash oriented in an arcade style of gameplay, where the main focus, besides the story, is to get the biggest combo and smash the most enemies with your final move. But the cool thing about Age of Calamity, as opposed to the first Hyrule Warriors, is that it's not a new world and story that can be dismissed entirely. It is legitimately the events that transpired 100 years ago before Breath of the Wild. The events before the re-emergence of Calamity Ganon that are alluded to all throughout the game. But because it is a Hyrule Warriors game, I have certain expectations or hopes for it that I figured I'd share with you guys. Oh, and if you're watching this on or near the day that I went live with this video, I'm probably on vacation right now, so be sure to smash that subscribe button if you enjoy the video so that I can meet you when I get back. And now, without further ado, here are the 5 biggest expectations I have for Age of Calamity. In Age of Calamity, we're gonna need answers. Lots of answers. Mainly focusing on our main characters, like how the champions really died, or how Link obtained the Master Sword initially, or even just what life was like when Hyrule Castletown wasn't, you know, burned to the ground. And the trailer even brought up more questions, like an apparent assault of Gerudo Town from the Yiga clan, or the existence of potentially more than one Sheikah Slate. But more than this, we need, and I stress this very fervently, we need these answers to be confirmed as canon, because even though this game was directly requested to be made from Mr. Aonuma himself, and even though it takes place in the same universe with the same characters as the original game, there are still people out there who will either debate the canon of this game or who will use this game's canon status to reflect upon the original Hyrule Warriors. Nintendo has stated that the first game was not canon, so I think they need to similarly state that this one is. It just has to happen, it can't be left up to debate. A good way to do this would be to slot it in behind Breath of the Wild on the timeline. That would clear up any confusion over whether or not its events are actually canon, and would also solidify its place as the first non-Legend of Zelda title in the Zelda timeline. Secondly, I want to see some variation to the Warriors hack and slash kind of gameplay. Don't get me wrong, it's fun. It's a lot of fun actually, especially when you mix in a whole bunch of different characters with different movesets and weapons. But choosing one of the many overpowered characters and spamming the attack button 4 times in a row over and over until you can smash the final move and then rinse and repeat until the battleground is cleared gets kind of old after a while. If it did release and had the same enter mission, clear enemies, repeat style of gameplay, I'd be okay, but would honestly only play it for the story at that point and would probably not keep it up afterwards. But if they introduced other objectives like maybe collectibles or exploration or good old-fashioned Zelda puzzles, that would be much more likely to keep people playing the game for longer. And speaking of varied gameplay, I'd like to see some varied missions in the game. One would think that since this game will be covering the absolute loss to Calamity Ganon years ago, there might be some missions that include not obliterating every enemy on the battlefield, but rather maybe trying to evacuate civilians from neighboring towns. Or maybe even towards the end of the game getting a mission that plays through Link's final moments before entering his slumber for 100 years, that entail having to run away with Zelda. Now that would be cool. And I know it would also be completely out of the ordinary for a Warriors game, but if we could get a few missions as the champions becoming the champions and having to maybe go through not enemies but trials to prove themselves, again, that would be cool and would serve to mix up the kinds of missions that you have to embark on to keep players enthusiastic about pressing that start button. Because as you know, Warriors games are not generally open world. They're mission based and are launched from a menu screen. But speaking of the menu screen, fourthly, I'd like to see, instead of launching from a menu, maybe a hub world that you can launch into missions from. This would serve to immerse players into the world of pre-Calamity Hyrule better than ever before, before. Just imagine if you're going through Link's missions and your hub world is Hyrule Castle. Not only can you explore the castle, but you could walk over to Zelda to enter a research mission, or to the king to enter a battleground mission. Or maybe even pulling some inspiration from Monster Hunter World and walking to the front gates to enter like a free roam session of the entire world, where there could be any number of world events to take place in, or places to explore that don't necessarily further the story, but would just serve to generate drops for materials or other such loot. And what if every champion had their own hub world? Like playing as Mipha meant you had a similar setup in Zora's Domain, or playing as Rivali, not sure why you'd be playing as that person, but that would result in Rito Village as a hub world. Daruk and Urbosa would have Goron City and Gerudo Town as well, etc, etc. Maybe I'm dreaming too largely, but hey, with the way that they shadow dropped this game in the first place, anything is possible. And hub worlds are a more modern take on gaming and would really make the experience of this game something unforgettable. Finally, I'd like to see, or rather hear, a fantastic soundtrack. And you might be thinking, oh, that's a lame choice, but excuse you, music is incredibly important to the impact a game has. Zelda games are known for their music, and the first Hyrule Warriors completely knocked it out of the park with not only upbeat remixes of classic Zelda tunes, but also some straight fire original tracks, like this one. Do you have goosebumps? Because I have goosebumps. I cannot wait to hear a remix for Hyrule Castle or Mipha's theme, or maybe some original emotional music for that last mission when Zelda sacrifices herself to save everyone 100 years in the future. Can you tell I'm hyped? Am I being obvious? And there you have it, guys, my brief list of 5 things I'd like to either return or be changed in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I'm sure most of these have already been determined since the game is being demoed later this month and will release in just 2 short months. So either way, we'll see soon how many of these became reality. In the meantime though, if you agree with this list or maybe have some other expectations for the game, let me know in the comments below. Like I said, I'll be gone for a few weeks, but I look forward to going through your comments when I get back. Oh, and be sure to smash those like and subscribe buttons so this video spreads around and I can meet all sorts of people when I get back. Also, huge thanks to my supporters. I have several new names to announce this time around. Say hello to Executives Links, Anthony Y, Melly Bear, Merlin the Witch, Tilda E, and Doggo. You guys all amaze me and I can't thank you enough. If you watching are interested in helping the next video come to life and expanding the content of this channel, click that join button below this video or visit the links in the description below to find out how. Also down there are the links to my social media pages, and I'm like super close to 3,000 followers on Twitter, so why not come on over and say hi. That's all I've got for this one, so as always, you guys be good while I'm gone, okay? Keep the hype real. This is MaskedNintendoBandit signing out. See you soon. Peace.